Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of very interesting bodybuilding updates. Before we actually get to those, I gotta tell you this real quickly for those of you who saw the story about Robby Robinson passing away. It was actually false, it wasn't true. I don't even know how it started, but a couple of days ago it was all over the social media, and then we got this. So he is apparently actually alive. Check it out real quick.
Are you alive?
I'm alive. I'm in awesome shape. I'm looking forward to working with all the people that come to my master's class. I want my master's class to be.
Alright, so you heard it, he is still alive and well and healthy. He is, I believe, almost 80 right now, 79, something like that. And he's alive and well. And I think I also remember a couple of years ago, like a year or two ago, there was also this rumor out there that he passed away. It was also false. And in this interview that he filmed right after the rumor was out, he's advertising his master class. So is this his way of promoting himself, trying to get attention to promote his masterclass? I don't know. It's just my best guess. But if you guys thought that he passed away, I wanted to inform you, he is alive and well. Now let's start with the first physique update that we got for today, and it is from Nick Walker actually. So it's a front double bicep shot. Now, of course, we can take a look at his arms, and we can definitely see that they are humongous, but I don't think anybody is curious to see what Nick Walker's arms look like. They have been basically maxed out 5 years ago, and I don't think they've gotten much better, but I don't think they can get any bigger, any better. What we can see that is interesting in this photo, it's not legs. We can't see his legs here. We saw his legs in many other updates. In this one, we don't. That is a focus area for him right now to improve on. But what we can see here, that is also very important, in my opinion, even more important than his leg development or his quadricep, his outer sweep development. The most important thing for Nick to improve on is his waist size and his midsection. And here we can see what his midsection actually looks like. In this variation of his front double bicep, there are a couple of ways he hits this pose. He does it with his midsection stretched out completely, which makes his waist look smaller, but it makes his torso too long compared to his lower body, which I don't like personally. Then there is the way when he crunches the abs completely, which makes his waist wider, but it makes his abs look really developed, really blocky. But for his physique right now, with the enlargement of his waist, which did happen in my opinion, he can't really do it that way anymore. So he's doing something in between. You know, he's not really crunching the abs completely, he's not stretching the midsection out completely, he's somewhere in between, and I think this is probably the best way for him to hit this pose. And I gotta say, this actually looks pretty good. I like the way his midsection looks right here. I mean, the lats are popping out, which is also a tricky thing when you're flexing the abs, when you are, crunching down your back, your spine. It's really difficult to open up the lats. But he's actually doing a pretty good job with that, because again, he's not really crunching completely with his abs. He's opened up enough to really make his lats pop out, which will also create an illusion of a smaller waist, and he's also showing us his ab development. And overall, I gotta say I like what this pose looks like right now. It actually looks very good. If we go back in time, these were, in my opinion, his two best looks. 2021 Arnold Classic on the left. He was definitely smaller back then, but his waist was also the smallest it has ever been since he turned pro. And then later, 2022, which is also 3 years ago, when he was third at the Mr. Olympia, he was definitely a lot fuller, and his waist was still in a pretty good control. At this point, he was actually crunching down the abs completely. As you can see, the lats weren't really popping out as much, but it looked good. It actually looked good. The legs looked good. The abs are phenomenal, and like the waist is small. So this was a good variation of the front double bicep. If you compare this to what we got today, I would say that he's pretty close to it. I was really worried, and I guess I still am, about what his waist is actually going to look like eventually on the stage. He's talking about how he's going to come back better than ever, and he's going to be at his absolute best, but I'm not sure about the midsection. However, after seeing this physique update right now, it's actually looking promising. You know, as he's getting leaner, the waist is also getting tighter. And here, I don't know what it looks like in like all the poses and the transitions, you know, when he's moving around on the stage. Is that gonna be an issue or not? But from what I'm seeing right here in the front double, it actually looks pretty good. Is he gonna be able to beat guys like Martin Fitzwater? I don't know. It's gonna be a battle for sure. Is Derek gonna show up? It seems like he's going to. I'm pretty sure he's going to. If that happens, can Nick really win Pittsburgh Pro against Derek Lunsford? I mean, the chances are definitely not in his favor, but guys, coming to the Arnold Classic, everybody thought Samson was gonna win. The chances were stacked heavily in Samson's favor because he won the Mr. Olympia. Very few people had Derek winning. It was really, really rare to see. Almost everybody was sure that Samson was gonna win that easily. However, Derek won. Now, at Pittsburgh Pro, we would all kind of expect for Derek to win the Pittsburgh because he just won the Arnold, because he won the Mr. Olympia and all that, but you guys, you never know. You never know. Nick might actually show up better than ever and surprise everybody with his freak factor, with his conditioning, with his details, with his size, and he might actually end up winning the Pittsburgh even if Derek shows up. But the chances are, again, not in his favor. He hasn't competed against the top guys for a while now. There's that as well. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Nick pulled out something crazy for this show and actually destroyed everybody. It's not out of the question. One thing I know for sure is that this front double bicep here looks good. Waist looks good. Midsection looks pretty tight. Surprisingly good, I would say. And I'd say the chances are pretty big of Nick actually showing up and looking better than ever at the Pittsburgh Pro. What do you guys think? Tell me down below. Alright, the next update we got is from Wesley Vissers. It's a photo of him right now hitting a side chest, and he definitely looks a lot fuller here than he did at the Arnold Classic. A lot fuller, much more fresh. It seems like he finally recovered his body. He was, as you guys know, he was sick for a week before the Arnold Classic, and he wasn't able to bring his absolute best to that show. And Stefan Kinsel spoke about this as well on Fuad's podcast. He showed us a photo as well. After resting from the gym and everything for a couple of days, he already started to look much, much better. And here is what he looks like right now. This photo is from yesterday. The side chest looks significantly better. The fullness is back, right? Now, the other thing that is interesting from this physique update is what he actually says. So the question here was, do you feel confident going into Detroit? Would the outcome impact how much time you take off? Obviously, this person is asking this because there was that video that surfaced in which Wesley was saying that he's taking this year off, not doing the Mr. Olympia. He also said that he doesn't want to do Detroit, but I guess he changed his mind. He's still doing it because he says here, yes, I will 100% be able to showcase a better package without sickness being a factor. I'll take a long time off regardless of the outcome. So yeah, there you go. This is a first-hand update from Wesley Vissers. He is doing the Detroit Pro, and after that, whether he wins, qualifies for the Olympia or not, he's gonna take a long time off. What does that mean, really? Does he want to take some time off to really make progress, to improve his legs, and then come back? Or is he just finishing his career? I don't think he's finishing his career. And you guys know my stance on this if you watch my videos. I don't think he really needs to take that long time off. I think what he needs is to just do a better peak, man. Like, his 2024 Arnold Classic Ohio edition was, in my opinion, as good of a package as he can bring. I think he maxed out his weight in Classic Physique at his show. I don't know what else could he do. I mean, could he, like, maybe lower the size of his upper body and bring up the legs? and still make the weight, I mean, I honestly wouldn't really do anything. I think this physique that he brought to this stage was good enough to win the Mr. Olympia. If things align, if he's a little bit lucky, maybe if the judges want that kind of a physique to be to represent the classic physique. I mean, there are a couple of things that we gotta consider, but physique-wise, I think his package from the Arnold Classic when he won was very, very good. I thought it was gonna challenge Chris Bumstead even, but he failed to replicate that same edition. So taking the time off and focusing on improving on his body parts, on his legs mainly, I guess, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing, but again, I think if he really nails the peak for the Mr. Olympia, he can still fight for the title. That's the way I see it, but he decided. He really decided, and as his wife says, when he decides something, it's going to be like that. But also, I know that you should never make decisions like a week or 2 weeks after your show, because you're still not yourself, your brain is not working at its full capacity. So I don't think he should be making these kind of official decisions right now. Do Detroit, I like that, win, qualify for the Mr. Olympia, and then maybe a couple of weeks later or a month or two later, decide what you're gonna do next. That's the way I would do it, but if he's one of those guys, when they say something, they have to do it, then I guess this is gonna be a longer break for Wesley after Detroit, no matter what happens, no matter the outcome. Do I see him winning Detroit against Matt Grego? I believe he's Wesley's number one competition in this show. I don't think Logan is doing it. I think Michael the Bull is, but I think Wesley 10% better from the Arnold Classic and beat Michael the Bull. So I think if Wesley really nails it for Detroit the way he did at the Arnold last year, I think he's going to win Detroit, but if he doesn't, I can see Matthew Grego winning as well. I mean, he beat Wesley at the Arnold. So if Wesley ends up winning, I think he should still do the Mr. Olympia and try and nail his peak. And if he's a little bit lucky, if he doesn't get sick again, or if the judges actually want that kind of a physique that is more classic. I know there is a whole debate about what is classic, what is not. Is classic physique what the judges are awarding these days, or is classic something that resembles the bodybuilders from the 70s and 80s? I mean, that's definitely a good question, but I do think Wesley has one of the most aesthetic, to my eye at least, one of the most classic physiques out there, and if he nails it, if he nails the peak, I still think he can win the Mr. Olympia, but I guess he doesn't agree with that. He wants to make more progress, so hopefully we'll see him next year on the Mr. Olympia stage with bigger legs, with better lower body, with better hamstrings and glutes and quads as well. If he manages to do that and stay within the weight cap, then that's gonna be a really dangerous package. Now, as far as the other guys who are taking the time off, I already spoke about Hunter Labrada a couple of videos ago, and I said that he might be retiring. However, on Fuad's podcast, on his live, Ben Chow, who is Hunter's coach, said what Hunter's plan is, and the plan is actually to skip the shows this year, to maybe do a show next year, because he wants to do a surgery, if I remember correctly, I think a shoulder surgery, I'm not sure about that, guys, but he wants to do some things that will require time off, and that he's gonna come back next year. So we won't see Hunter this year competing anymore, doing the Mr. Olympia. That's officially confirmed right now by Ben, not by Hunter himself, but Hunter did say that to one of those guys who sent me the DM. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hunter is also not going to be doing the Mr. Olympia this year, and hopefully he will come back next year. But again, there was a rumor a couple of years ago, actually not a rumor, but I think Ben said it as well, that Hunter was thinking about retiring. And then he came back and looked really good, so it doesn't have to mean anything. Bodybuilders decide to retire very often, and then they actually don't do that. But maybe this time around it's gonna be the case. Maybe Hunter is actually considering that option as well. But we'll see. We know for a fact that he's not gonna be competing this year anymore. We will not see him at a Mr. Olympia stage. Alright, and the final story that we got for this video today is by far definitely my favorite story. It's about Carlos Thomas Jr. firing Patrick Tuor again. Again, guys, you might remember a couple of years ago when Carlos was competing, he was prepping for the Nationals, and 1 week out of the Nationals, he fired his coach, and his coach at the time was Patrick Tuor. He fired him 1 week out, he changed the coach, he ended up still winning the overall, not in the best condition possible, but he still won. Then a couple of years later, actually this year, he got back to Patrick Tuor, and they were prepping for this Arnold Classic, things looked really good. At one point, like 5 weeks out, people were speculating can he even win the Arnold Classic because he did look very impressive in his shots. And then like 4 or 3 weeks out, radio silence. There was nothing from Carlos, no updates, no talk about him winning the Arnold Classic, because he did say that he plans on winning it. His goal wasn't to be in the top 3 or in the top 5. Even though he placed 9th, his goal was to win the whole thing. I think he was just really hyped up by social media people, and he wanted to ride that train. But I think it only hurt him. You know, a lot of hype like that creates a lot of pressure, and I think that could be the reason why he didn't deliver his absolute best package. Now, again, he was prepped by Patrick Tuor, and his conditioning for this show was nowhere near good. Nowhere near good. It was a horrible conditioning. Now, do I think the reason for that is Patrick's coaching? Well, you guys could say that he was able to bring some of the bigger guys in really good condition, like Ian Valier or James Hollins here. You guys know that Ian was shredded pretty much every time he prepped with Patrick for those couple of years. He won like 4 or 5 shows. But you could say that was because Ian is blessed with those kind of genetics. He gets shredded so easily. His issue is fullness, but when it comes to getting conditioned, he has no trouble with that. And that's why Patrick did well with him, because it was easy. But my counter-argument would be that he also picked Logan Franklin really well for the Arnold Classic, and Logan was having issues with that. He wasn't nailing his peaks for the past couple of years. He tried it with many popular coaches. One of them was Milos Sarcev. You guys know that didn't go well. So Patrick figured out Logan's conditioning, and with Carlos, he failed to deliver. Whose fault was that? Well, as you can see in this post right here that Patrick made, he says, first step taken. But I guess it's going to be the last. You know, it's not going to be another step with these two guys, because Carlos apparently decided to change coaches. How do I know that? Let me play this video for you guys.
James, I think James is doing it.
And Carlos Thomas Jr. is doing it, and he's changed coaches.
All right, so you heard it. We got this inside information from Chris Cormier. He's talking to all these guys, so he heard this somewhere. It's not on social media, but now it is. Now it definitely is. So Carlos got another coach who is prepping him for Detroit. How will he look at Detroit? That's a different question. We're going to talk about that as well. But I wanted to answer the question that I asked. Is this the fault of Patrick Tuor? Is he the reason why Carlos failed to deliver to this show? Now, I gotta say one thing. I mean, sometimes not every bodybuilder will click with every coach. I know that Patrick is very, militant. Like, he's really strict. He believes in no cheat meals ever. He treats his athletes like soldiers. And if you guys have that kind of mentality, you're willing to do whatever it takes, then he is perfect for you. But if you are a little bit more, let's say, I don't want to use the word soft, let's say more delicate, I don't know. If you need a little bit more relaxed approach, then Patrick is not for you. And I think that could be the reason why these guys didn't click, didn't work out this time again. But it could also be that for some reason Carlos has a difficult body that Patrick can't figure out for some reason. And another coach that is also going to be really strict is going to figure out a formula that is going to get Carlos Thomas Jr. really shredded. That's also a possibility. I don't know which one is the truth. Whatever you guys think, you can tell me down below. But yeah, Carlos is no longer coached by Patrick Tuor. He has another coach that is helping him for Detroit. We'll see how much can he really change. In my opinion, Patrick Tuor is one of the best coaches in the world. If I had to choose a coach for me, as far as like the top coaches in the world, I would choose Patrick for sure, easy. But I think Carlos, just by doing the diet for a couple of more weeks or maybe longer than that, he can still get in better condition no matter who his coach is. If he just applies pressure for 3, 4, 5, let's say 6 weeks, I don't think this was a peaking issue. I think he was just fat. I think he had more work to do as far as dieting down, losing body fat. And I guess maybe the peak week could have been done better. I don't know about that, but I think he needs like at least 4 more weeks of work to be in really good condition, but I would say 6. So we'll see what kind of changes will he be able to make. He's no longer working with Patrick Tuor. That's what we know as of right now. But hey, maybe in a couple of years, these guys get back together again. Maybe third time is the charm. Maybe they're going to figure it out the next time if Patrick would be willing to give this guy another chance. I mean, a third chance. But I doubt that's going to happen, to be honest. And another thing I also am considering is that maybe the reason why Carlos didn't bring it is because he has issues with his mindset. You know, if the guy is firing his coach and 1 week out and again, like mid-season like this, after they did one show, and again, as you can see right here, Patrick says first step taken. They obviously had plans to do more shows, and you know, the work continues, hashtag, and you know, Carlos deciding to fire his coach again, not giving him the chance. Maybe they would actually nail it in a couple of more shows, but it seems like Carlos is not exactly super mentally stable when he's prepping. There are bodybuilders like that. It's very difficult to actually stay, you know, really focused, really not to question anything, and like to go through the process, to go through failures with your coach and everything like that. So it's definitely a complicated, tricky situation, but yeah, Carlos is working with another coach based on Chris Cormier. Who that coach is, I don't know yet, and whether Carlos is going to actually be improved dramatically for Detroit, I have no idea, but we'll see. We'll see soon enough. Tell me, what do you guys think about this, or whichever part of this video? Leave the comment down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. For more content like this, guys, stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon, all the best, and bye-bye.